What's up, YouTube fans? Today we're going to take a look at the MMC reformatted Optus Pexus, or Super Cop, their version of a IDW Stormbringer Optimus Prime, or some people are calling him Orion Pax. So this is from a comic. I'm not that familiar with this version of Optimus Prime. There are images that I'm going to share later with his robot mode. I couldn't really find a good image of his vehicle mode. I guess he didn't appear very often in the comic. But if I find one, I'll put it up here so you can take a look. By the way, I got this from Toy Dojo. They're my go-to for any third-party or masterpiece figures. And this is no exception. They got this to me very quickly. Thank you, Toy Dojo, for that. So let's take a look at this vehicle mode. It's a really cool looking vehicle mode. You got this translucent blue glass with this metallic silver behind that. That looks really nice. You've got the gold fog lights, similar to other Optimus Primes, just iconic look for him. Silver paint here on these intakes, silver paint here on these smokestacks. You got another smokestack here kind of on the side. I guess that's familiar with his design. You got silver paint on the hubcaps, silver paint on the back here for the bumper or whatever that is. It does look really nice. You do have kind of a almost gas can looking thing here. Overall, a nice vehicle. It does roll very smoothly. It's pretty hefty. There's a lot of hardware in here. There's not a lot of die cast, but there's a lot of hardware, and it feels really nice and substantial. You do get a lot of accessories, and they all work in this mode. So you get two guns like this. You can collapse them down like so, and then you can peg them together. They have over-under tabs there that are just going to slide together like that. And then there's a slot here that's going to fit on this tab. So go ahead and put those in, and that looks really nice. He does come with a second set of guns, so these gray ones, and these have the same gimmick. They can expand and collapse. Obviously there's a handle here for the robot mode. This one can also mount if you would like, but unfortunately one of mine won't collapse. I'm gonna have to talk to Toy Dojo. It's really stuck there, so maybe I can get a new one there. But you can mount these on the vehicle if you like, so you can have all four on here. There's a little tiny, slightly different tab there, but both can fit in this mode, and that looks really nice. So if you want to, you can put all four on there. Also comes with these guns, which are really meant for the robot mode. These are the arm cannons. Looks like these can, oh, okay, these just pop right off. And there's a tab here that can fit in this slot right there. And that looks very natural. It just looks like part of the truck now that I put that on. I almost think you should just stay there. It's actually that good looking. All right, so you can really put everything on here if you want to. You could also, let's see, can you do this? Yeah, you could do this too. So you could have something like that. That's pretty badass. That looks really nice. Last thing you get are these fingers. These are really only for robot mode. It's just extra fingers in case you break them. That's a really nice thought from MMC. You know, that's some good customer service to include that. You get a collector's card. Here is the front, reformatted. Here's the back with the specs. He's got some really high numbers. Nice credit card quality card. I normally don't show you the booklet, instruction booklet, but this one has instructions on this side, and if you flip it over, you have a comic. It says Day 1 reformatted, and it's got the artist and the story, and he's got a full comic about him. Really cool. There he is with the MP10 Optimus Prime, and very different look, of course. It's from a different continuity, but about the same length, maybe a little bit shorter. Obviously shorter in height because, you know, he's this very aerodynamic vehicle. About the same width as well. So if you really wanted to, you could fit this in a masterpiece collection. It just, obviously, it really goes with your IDW collection a lot more. But just wanted to show you that for comparison. All right, now let's get this guy transformed into his robot mode. Go ahead and take all the weapons off if you haven't already, and just set them all to the side. So we're going to start on the legs. So we want to take apart these pieces here and just kind of pull them apart gently. They are on these hinges here, so you can open those all the way up. And I'll give you a little bit of room. And we are going to pull this away from the rest, so you can kind of pull back, and that'll allow you to bend this part here at the waist. Then we're going to come down to the legs. Go ahead and open them up. And we want to pull this down and away. So let's first get this foot all the way folded in. So that's just going to double hinge down and onto the bottom of the leg. Then we're going to pull the leg out, and it is somewhat tight. Oh, that is tight. Just be careful with that. Make sure you're holding here and here. Don't hold a breakable part. But I haven't had any issue. I just am saying be cautious. All right, so now, get this foot all the way in. Now we can take this and close up this and fold this blue tab upwards, and that is going to peg into the top of these. So get that in and kind of line that up. It does have a lot of play in it, so you can move it around. It's not a big deal. And then get those pegged together on both sides like that. Okay. Now that you have that pegged together, later, I'm not going to go back to vehicle mode, but I just wanted to show you there's a panel here that ends up going inwards, and you have to kind of pull that out when you're going back to the vehicle mode. So that panel right there, it does kind of depress in on its own. Okay, so that's one leg done. Go ahead and do the exact same thing on this side. Okay, next we want to make sure we get these panels slid up. So just slide up on this hip piece right here. Same on this side, just slide that up. You can see it moves just a couple millimeters to get even with this. This knee piece right here, that little armature, that moves with the knee. So you don't have to worry too much about that getting in the way, because it's going to move out of the way. All right, next we're going to take care of the arms and the upper body. Go ahead and take these panels here. Those are going to fold downwards, and they were pegged in right here and here. Same on this side. Just fold that downwards, unpeg it from the arms. We're going to take this panel here, and that's going to slide forward. And you might as well do that on this side as well. And that'll allow you to lift up this, which is pegged in down here, and then you're going to unpeg the arms from this center piece here, and that's going to allow you to fold these forward, like so. Make sure you're doing that order, otherwise you're going to be, hitting things here and there. Next, come to the back here, and we're going to take this panel here. This is going to fold upwards. Then we're going to accordion this down on a double hinge, and it's going to sit like that. So you can rotate at the waist here, and that'll allow you to pull these wheels back and away, and you can just kind of get them sitting like this for now and out of the way. All right, come to the front here. We're going to take this panel here. There are two little tabs you can grab onto, so you can get a thumb under there and move this backwards. That'll allow you to take the head and flip that out of this little cavity here. Set all the way up. Fold this upwards, and it's going to tab in right here on that peg in that slot. Get that folded up. Get those to meet up. Same on this side, get that folded up. And while you're doing that, fold these panels to the back. And peg that in. Okay. Now we can take the entire torso, and that's going to accordion back. There is a tab on the top that's going to go into the slot inside his torso there. So go ahead and push that in. It should actually peg in. You can actually feel it, hear it, and feel it. Come to the back here. We're going to open up his back waist here and fold out these hip skirts. They are little armatures. I would just be careful. They're not breakable, but they are breakable, but they're not like super flimsy or anything. I would just be cautious with that. Going to put that back in. Now you can see we're going to collapse his chest downwards into his waist like that. Go ahead and straighten up the head and the neck, the front. Come to the back here. This is going to flip all the way down and just sit there. These wheels are going to flip all the way down, or these covers are going to flip all the way down as well. Right, and those are just going to sit like that on his back. Right, we do have, oh, I forgot one thing. Pull that back up. Rotate this around, and then push his waist back down. Now you have the legs correctly. Go ahead and take the shoulders, and they're going to fold downward here. And you're going to accordion the hand out. Basically just pull it out of that forearm all the way down. Rotate at the bicep. And then just fold that down. It is a very tight joint, so just be careful. And then rotate the hand this way. Same on this side. And just a couple finishing touches. Go ahead and push in on this panel. It should sit more flush. Same on this side. And then come to the shoulders and rotate these to the front so you get the silver part facing forward. You can also go back, face it backwards. I prefer it backwards, but official transformation has like this. And there you have Optus Pexus transformed into his robot mode. And he really is beautiful. He really looks nice. Let's take a quick 360. We'll put the comic image there so you can take a look. Lots of sculpted detail all over the place. Everything looks accurate to that comic. Pretty clean, given its transformation. All in all, very nice looking. You can use all of those weapons. They have multiple modes that you can use them in. So again, you can take these guns apart now. So one way you can use it is you can mount it on his back here. And the same tab here that was on the outside still goes into here. So you can basically peg this in here on the side. And then that serves as a shoulder mounted cannon. I prefer this other method. So there is a slot right here on the top of the gun. That's going to fit into that peg right there. So you just turn it upside down, get it pegged in. I think that looks a lot cooler. You can put both in there. So fold this, rotate this around, get this tabbed in. And now you have not only shoulder mounted, but articulated shoulder mounted cannons, which is awesome. You can still use the gun in his hand, of course, so fold his handle down. You end up with 4 guns. I think he's only meant to have 2, but since we have 4, I'll leave those shoulder cannons on there. All right, you can take these. There's a little slot there. That's going to fit on the tab on his hand. Very nice looking hands here. So you can get this in here, and he can hold the trigger, and that looks very, very nice. And then you can take these. I mean, this guy has so much armament. You can put those on the side of his arms. You can put on the inside if you want to, but obviously I think it looks better on the outside. So let's do that. And just to get, complete the effect, let's give him all his guns. And there's Optus Pexus fully armed up with all 6 guns. I know, you came to see the gun show. All right, now let's go over his articulation, which is what you came here to see, of course. So Obviously, we showed you this. You do have this articulation here for the gun mounts. That's really cool. The head is on multiple joints, so the neck piece itself does go all the way back as part of the transformation, so you can get his head way up. You can get his neck itself goes back and forth, and then the head is on a ball joint, so you can get it way down as well. And then you can rotate on this joint, and you can get, you know, pretty much the maximum side to side. So really just a very expressive head there. It is a very nice head sculpt. I just wanted to get in close so you can see that. The metallic blue eyes, you got the classic silver head crest and mouth plate, and then the silver ears there on the side. So slightly different than, you know, a typical Optimus, but he does have that look, that, you know, classic look. Continuing on, you do have these pieces on the shoulder which open up, which allows you to get this all the way down. I'm not really sure if that adds anything. Honestly, you can get the shoulder up to there anyways. So the shoulder actually has two joints, one down here, so you can go down to there and all the way up to there on that joint. And then there's another joint here, so you can get up to there and down to there on that joint. So really quite a bit of movement. And then you've got this joint, which is really for transformation, but I mean, that's just so much articulation. All right, bring that back down. These are very tight joints. He does have a rotation at the bicep. It is very, very tight. You have a double jointed elbow. It is also automorphing. So if you bend, you can see there's that piston in there, and it just hides away on its own. This is not necessary to make it double jointed. It was simply for the look and the aesthetic and the just professional look there. It's just really impressive. You do want to get this, you know, all the way out, but yeah, I mean, that is very, very impressive stuff. Go to the hand. The hand rotates at the wrist. You have a joint that can allow it to in and out like this. So you can do the dice roll, and it rotates all the way around. The fingers are individually articulated at 1, 2, 3, 4 joints. So you can splay out, and each finger can bend. It is pretty nice tight joints. I always worry about hands like this that are super duper articulated, because it does make it hard to manipulate. But these are nice because they don't, you know, they're not loose. That's always the issue with these kinds of things. These have nice tolerances. Continuing down, you have, well, actually, you know what? Before we move forward, let's take a look at the chest. So if you move the arms up and out this way, you can push these chest pieces back, and that'll allow you to pull these chest pieces open. And what would an Optimus Prime figure be if you didn't have the matrix? So there is his matrix. The handles for the matrix have been removed because that's how you get it in there. So you just basically pull on this bottom piece here, and then you can detach that. You can detach the matrix like so. He does come with these handles. I forgot to show you the handles do mount in the vehicle mode, so everything can fit on the vehicle mode. But there you go. You just attach those handles, and now he can hold this matrix. Well, let's just close up his chest again. Make sure you push this in first, and then you can close up the chest. I guess you need to have that up. There we go. Just be careful when you're opening and closing that. You don't want to scratch any of the paint there. All right, that goes back down, and we can pull these pieces back forward because they should be forward. That allows the most amount of movement for these shoulders. So here's the matrix, and he can hold this matrix with his super duper articulated fingers. It is kind of hard to get them in there, but once you get it in there, it's good to go. There you go. It's hard to fit more than 3 fingers, so I don't know. It might look a little funny. I'm just going to set that aside. All right, continuing onwards, you do have a little bit of motion here, and that allows for this shoulder movement. you have 2 joints for the abs. So it is really crazy. So there's one up here. Again, make sure you have all this. This has to be pulled forward because that's what opens up the articulation. So you have the side-to-side movement on the upper joint. You have this. If you want to open that up, you can get all the way down on this piece here, which is part of the transformation, but also allows for a very, very big, I mean, he can just bend all the way over, which is crazy. You can get that, basically pegged back in there. Let's see. You lift this out of the way before you do that. You don't want to try. You want to be careful not to scratch any of the paint, but we'll just get this pegged back in. Okay. You also have this lower ball joint, so it rotates on that ball joint down there. It also has the side to side, and it has a crunch backwards and forwards on that. So just insane amount of articulation on his waist alone. Right, moving downwards, you do have a hip skirt here. It really just moves up and down. It folds this way. It's really for transformation, but you move it up so you can get this leg up. I mean, the legs can go all the way up. If you want to get even more motion, you can pull it down on this drop-down joint so the leg can sit lower. And now you can get the leg kicking way high. So that's pretty cool. Let's see. Can you get any higher than that? Yeah, he can go pretty damn high. So those drop-down hips really help if you're trying to get some crazy poses with the leg. While we have it there, you have a ratcheted joint to the front and back, more like a soft ratchet, hard ratchet out to the outside, and you can get it all the way down, especially if you use that drop-down joint. He does get a little bit taller when you use that drop-down joint. I have not noticed any paint issues on this guy, despite me being somewhat, I guess, frivolous with my posing. It hasn't really caused any problems, so that's a good sign that I'm not seeing any paint issues on this guy. All right, continuing downwards, you have again a double jointed knee, and it does have automorphing technology right here with this piston. So as you move, that piston moves with it, and then it gets all the way back to there, almost like a Flames Toys. I mean, that's really neat. It's really neat to see. And it's really fun to pose. It is tight. It's a tight joint. All the joints are tight, to be honest. So just be careful, hold in the right places. Don't hold things that weren't meant to be held. Let me get this finger back out of the way. All right, moving down, you have an ankle tilt. Now this ankle rocks down. So once you rock it down, you can get extreme movement all the way up to there, all the way down there. Toe tilt with pistons. I mean, they're just painted, but it looks like they have pistons. That's such a cool effect. And of course, a rocker in both directions. What more can you ask for? You can't ask for anything more. Oh, and a rotation at the thigh. I forgot to mention that. And just for fun, there is a running pose. Yeah, he can balance. He looks really nice. And for a sense of size and scale, there he is next to the Transform Element Optimus and the Earthrise Optimus. So obviously way bigger than this, retail scale, but not quite as big as the Masterpiece scale Optimus. So final thoughts on Optus Pexus. Let's start with the negatives, which are few. The joints in the knees and elbows and shoulders are very tight, so you do want to hold in the right places. Me personally, I prefer the tighter versus looser, but you do want to be careful, and it does tend to make it a little bit harder to pose. Also, the fingers are a little bit spindly. They're not as bad as KFC fingers, which I've heard some people compare it to. But it does take a little bit of work to get the gun in and get the hand posed. Once you get it in, it's solid. It's not going anywhere. This guy is a solid rock. Positives, which are plenty. The paint is absolutely immaculate all throughout the figure. All of the silver, all of the yellow, this blue and silver behind it, the red paint, the head sculpt. Everything, all the paint I see is well done, and I haven't scraped anything off based on transforming and or articulating. The accessories are great. Getting you 6 guns, these arm cannons, the gray guns and the black guns. I don't think you're meant to use both the gray guns and the black guns together, but I don't care because I think they look awesome, so I'm going to use them together. I love that these articulate. That just gives it such a cool look because you can really, sky's the limit. And then speaking of that, articulation, this rivals the best figures out there. I really haven't ever handled a Transformer with this level of articulation. I would bring this to, or equate this to the level of Flames toys. It maybe doesn't have the same materials as the Flame toys, but it definitely articulates at that level. So I highly recommend it. Even if you're not collecting Reformatted or IDW, still think it's a great figure to pick up. That's really it for today. Thanks for watching. If you have any questions, leave in the comments below, and we'll see you next time.